that I love to work in, and just wanted to have my own business to operate in. And now, today, God has, He uses those beautiful, heavy hands on a daily basis to fulfill and heal the ailments of individuals that come that need massage therapy. And my voice, it's here to quicken and empower people to um, embrace who they authentically are through counseling. Oftentimes I get asked, why did I choose my business? But if I'm honest, I must say that my business actually chose me. As a child, I prayed that I would one day have a business, make lots of money doing it, and love what I do. And that's really what's been important to me, is loving what I do on a daily basis. And now that have been blessed to have the privilege to inspire and encourage others on a daily basis, helping them through massage, counseling, and spiritual nurturing, I am elated that I was chosen to do what I do. My name is Anya Ware, founder and CEO of Anya's Wellness, where we provide holistic healing services for your body, mind, and spirit. I am from Greenville, South Carolina. For those individuals who decide to work with me, I want you to know that I love to inspire, motivate, and encourage. And I want you to understand that the end result will be growth, so that you can be your best possible authentic self to be successful in life. I plan on making the world a better place by trusting in the Lord with all my heart, leaning not to my own understanding, but in all my ways acknowledging Him, and I know that He will direct my path. As I allow my light to shine, I know that I will be able to help someone else's shine as well, so they can be their authentic self, living their successful life.
It's time for the percolator. It's time for the percolator. This is your transformation architect, speaker Stephanie Wall. I'm back again, this time bringing up the next speaker, Anaya Ware. She says that she is committed to living a holistic life, and she contributes that, or she says that contributes to her success. Let's clap her on up. But let me ask you this. Do you want to know what happens when we have the wrong fuel to fuel up our tanks? Now, you know, this time of we using too much money to pay for gas as it is. Let's find out what she got to say about it. It's time for the percolator. All right, clap her on. Clap her on. Y'all know what to do. Clap, snap, and bring Anaya Ware to the virtual stage. Come on, Anaya. See you in a little bit.
Hello and welcome to the Black CEO 2022 Impact and Revenue Conference. My name is Anya Ware. I am the author of Eyes Open, apostle of Aware Ministry, business owner of Anya's Wellness, where I serve as the holistic healing specialist, a mother, theatrical producer of We're in a War, Whose Side Are You On?, singer and songwriter, visionary, and a wife. I know some of you may be saying, wow, that is a lot. And it is. But I do not feel the weight of it all because I love what I do. And every moment of it too. But I can only say that because I made up in my mind that I will live a holistic life full of integrity and honoring my spiritual journey, it is because of this balance that I am able to live a successful, holistic life. Have you ever been at the gas pump and put the wrong type of fuel into your tank? You know, some of us entrepreneurs, often we put the wrong type of fuel towards our desired success and wonder why it does not work out. Well, let me tell you what happens when the wrong gas is put into your tank and your performance becomes poor. When the wrong type of fuel is put into your tank, your performance becomes poor, there's damage that occurs, and most of all, you will be drained. But when you take inventory and prepare properly with the right type of fuel, we are able to function at a full capacity, giving a high performance, and most of all, you will be fulfilled and fulfilling. I want to help you today. You can avoid all of the negatives from improper fueling if you would just fill up with the right gas. Yeah, today I want to share with you how holistic healing is the fuel for successful living. Yes, let me say that to you again. Holistic healing, the fuel for successful living. You know, as I spoke about fuel, I'm reminded of a story. Indulge me with your listening ears for a moment. I want to tell you a story. It was a beautiful, early Saturday morning. My sons and I were taking a trip up to Forest City, North Carolina. You see, my boys had been on a basketball tournament traveling team. And if any of you all do the travel ball, you already know what it's like to be traveling from city to city. Well, to my credit, early, hold on, I already know some of you are getting ready to criticize me, but that Saturday morning was already jam-packed. One of my sons had to be at the Salvation Army early that morning to help feed meals to those in need with an organization he's mentored by. I had to be at a leadership conference that morning at 8 o'clock. But the Salvation Army and the meeting that I was going to attend downtown were very close by, so I was going to make it work. See, I told y'all, some of y'all probably already criticizing me. Well, getting to the meat of the story, the conference was over, and I was able to meet someone to get my son, and we were on our way to pick up my youngest son from home. And I looked at the fuel gauge, y'all, and said, I probably should fill up. Immediately, I talked myself out of it and said, well, the trip is only about an hour and a half away. I'll just fill up and we'll get some gas when we get up the mountain a little bit to save on some time. You know how we do. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a PSA. Please, if you see a need to fill up your tank, please do not, I repeat, do not wait. The jungle is real. Okay, I hear y'all screams at me already. I know I should have gotten the gas when I first said so, but I thought I could make it. As I drove into the mountain, it was so large and beautiful. The children and I gleamed at God's beauty. And I said to them, this is just like life. We see the mountain in front of us, but only God knows what's coming behind the mountain. Talk about a prelude to an irony. It seemed we were in the mountain for about 40 minutes and the gas had became less and less, y'all. I started looking for gas stations, but if you've ever traveled from South Carolina to North Carolina, you already know there are huge gaps where there's nothing but hills, cars, and lots of scenery. Yes, I panicked. I began to pray, Lord, please help us. My phone signal up in the mountains wasn't working, so we didn't know which direction to take. And the gas hand was still moving down. No gas stations were in sight, and the only signs I did see kept signaling saying diesel fuel. My car takes regular unleaded. I whipped that car back around and started heading back up the hilly mountains to find gas for the remaining of our journey. Uphill, yep, you guessed it. It takes more energy to go uphill than it does to go downhill. When I tell y'all we were on fumes at this point, I really began to cry out and plead with God. He would get just if he would just get us to a gas station quickly. My sons even started praying because we just need to get there very quick. So in the end, God saw us through. We made it beyond the fumes and back up the hilly mountain to a station where we were able to fuel up with gas to continue our journey. I said all of that to say, yes, the juggle is real, but don't make the juggle harder than it is by procrastination. Get the gas. But most importantly, be sure it's the right type of fuel you need to get to where you are going. See, as a holistic healing specialist, I believe the body, the mind, and the spirit, they all must be aligned to have successful living. When even just one of those are out of alignment, it is very easy to fall prey to a discombobulated destiny. Indulge me today and allow me to saturate your ears as I enlighten you of the importance of holistic healing. First, I want you to understand that the word holistic, HOLISTIC, and holistic, WHOLISTIC, they're interchangeable. Holistic healing is a form of holistic medicine that considers the whole person, the body, mind, and the spirit. And this is according to an article that I was reading by Hetty Marks. In March of 2020, Marks accurately explained that we as holistic medicine practitioners believe a person is made of interdependent parts. And if one is not working properly, all of the other parts are affected as well. Let me give you a vision. So a car has three main parts, right? A body, which is the wheels and external covering, which protects what's inside of the car, whether it's the passengers or the internal combustible engine of the car. Then a car has a mind, in which the engine area carries the motor, the transmission, battery, alternator, etc., etc. Then we have the spirit, which is the fuel tank, which contains the gas that rails everything up, powers the vehicle, so to speak. Now, in order for a car to properly work to its highest potential, it must be in successful alignment with the guidelines that are established that says a car is safe to drive and in proper working order, right? Alignment. Car and driver explained that in order for a car to go and heat an engine, which converts energy from the heat of burning gasoline, which then causes torque to occur, which is then applied to the wheels to make the car move. What I'm saying here is that in order for the body, mind, and spirit of a vehicle to thrive to its greatest potential and functioning, it has to operate as a whole. All of the parts must work together. And this same scenario applies to us in our own lives. In order for each of us to successfully live a whole life, there must be a transformation of healing within the body, mind, and spirit, which will occur and enable you to thrive and live your best life. What are you talking about, Anya? What does a car have to do with me being successful? Maybe you're saying, I don't even own a car, or I don't even drive. What does fuel have to do with me, and how does it heal and cause me to live a successful whole life? What does those parts have to do with my parts? Make this make sense? Well, I'm glad you asked. I believe in order to successfully live a thriving life, you must be whole. Your body, mind, and spirit must be in synchrony to cause the fuel in you to create movement. Have you ever heard someone say, I'm just not feeling myself? Or ever been in a wreck or something and the doctor says, you need to seek out a massage therapist or a chiropractor due to the trauma of the accident? You're out of alignment. Or maybe have you been to the doctor and he or she informed you that you need to lose some weight because if you don't, you're headed for a heart attack? Maybe they said you need to eat healthier because your A1C is high and it needs to be lowered to prevent diabetes. That's a lot of trauma. And the only way to be whole is to receive holistic healing that will transform your body, mind, and spirit. So let's take a look at the body first. It's the outer part of us that we often try to dress up, cover up, tuck up, pin up, mask up, gastro bypass up, so that the true us can't see or be seen from the outside view. But it's not until we have a true encounter with the right fuel in our life that we are able to appreciate the body when we were given to occupy for this time. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you're looking good on the outside or the desire thereof is a bad thing. I'm just saying that once you are able to understand the root of why you are not content with what you see, is deeper than the surface we see. So holistically, how can you heal your own body? We do this innately. We have all the tools to fuel healing within our body. In fact, did you know that the body is so fascinating? It was designed to heal itself upon injury. That is why it's important as CEOs that we eat healthy, drink plenty of water, be sure we receive our essential vitamins daily, exercise, and definitely be sure to get self-care, i.e. massage, chiropractor, acupuncture, all of the therapies we can indulge in. You know, about 20 years ago when I started my practice, I would have listened if someone said, I can't afford a massage, but not today. I've learned people make time to do what they want to do and set aside funds to accomplish what they want. So you have to ask yourself, do I want to live a true successful life? How much am I or my life really worth? It's there where the healing can begin. So are you ready? Are you ready yet to get the fuel you need? Now that you have the fuel to heal your body, let's look at the mind. One of my favorite scriptures from the Bible says, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee, which has come from Isaiah 26:3. As you can tell by now, my fuel is faith. Oftentimes, we allow the cares of this life to overwhelm us and take us over. When this happens, it can cause us to literally feel crazy. In business, have you ever missed a deal and felt inadequate? Have you ever experienced those moments when you had to talk to yourself out of doubt, drowning yourself with negative self-talk? I know I have. Those voices of negative talk are just as bad as putting diesel fuel into an automatic car that requires unleaded gas. We must fuel our minds with things that are lovely and of good report. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report. If there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things, Philippians 4:8. I'm reminded that throughout my CEO experience, I've had to speak to myself, to encourage myself. If you are an entrepreneur, you know what it means to feel like you are by yourself. What it means to sometimes be the only Black CEO in a room filled with other persuasions, networking, and getting an inkling no one is taking you seriously when they really should. As CEO, you understand that the feeling of disappointment when the bank turns you down for the capital needed to sustain your business. You understand the challenges of hiring, but good help to maintain your company is definitely something as a CEO that you can attest to. But I want to encourage you today. To know that when we allow ourselves to go through the transformation, through holistic healing, we set ourselves up for success. The final and most important part of our success as a CEO, I believe, is the spiritual understanding that there are many things that are out of our control, but knowing the one who is full and completely in control is the fuel we need to thrive in life. You see, for me as a follower of Christ, I believe that without him, I would be nothing. Without him, I would fail. And there would be no business for me. If you would just lend your ear once more before I go, as I share with you my reason why I became a CEO. I remember as a little 7-year-old girl praying to God that I wanted to have my own business one day and make lots of money doing it. As I grew older, I remember adding, I want to love what I do and be in full-time ministry while doing it. I was 23 years old when I heard God speak to me audibly for the first time and said, go back to school. I had just graduated in May with my Bachelor's of Science degree from the University of South Carolina. I told myself I was not going back to school. I wasn't going to grad school for physical therapy because I was tired and wanted to move back home to work a minimum wage job, that is. Well, that is just what I did. As I was working as a medical records clerk, I heard God speak and say, go back to school. I finally surrendered, but I didn't give in without giving my conditions. I said, well, you got to show me what you want me to do, go back for it, and pay for it because I work a minimum wage job and I just graduated. Be careful of what you ask for. When I finally surrendered completely, God went above and beyond my expectations. Not only did he tell me what to go back to school for, but pay the tuition in full with my minimum wage salary. 2 days later, prior to me graduating, 2 whole days prior to me graduating, he paid the tuition off. Then he turned around and told me to open my business 2 months later. Now, 20 years later, the business has been blessed to expand into something far greater than I had even prayed. And it's because of a spirit of humility that I'm able to still be standing in business successfully. When we allow transformational holistic healing to fuel the fire that keeps us as CEOs going, we can have a successful holistic living. What I'm saying to you is, just as the car needs fuel, the spirit, to cause the engine, the mind to combust and cause the wheels, the body of the car to go into motion, we too have continuously realized alignment of our body, mind, and spirit. And it will be the fuel to successful living, a holistic life. Thank you for listening today. And I hope that you will allow holistic living and holistic healing to be the fuel to your success in living. Thank you.
One of the biggest challenges I've ever had to face is when I jumped off a cliff and sprouted wings. Listen, my father died when he was only 39 years old. I was 16 at the time, and quite honestly, I never thought that I would live as long as he did. Yet right before my 39th birthday, I realized that I'd made it, and I decided that if I lived 1 day, 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 year past the age of 39, I would not squander it. I would honor my father and the extra time that I was given to live my life optimized and to my fullest capabilities. In 2014, I left my 20+ year corporate career working in post-secondary educational institutions. I jumped off a cliff to find my way to build my own empire. Why did I choose my business? Well, my business chose me. I'd already been coaching, teaching, training, and speaking, yet it was always for my job, not for my own business. So when I was introduced to behavioral science, I knew exactly what my purpose was to be: building a behavioral superpowers universe and using my outgoing, fast-paced influencer style to lead the charge. What's most important to me about my business is freedom. The freedom to do what I want, when I want, how I want, for as long as I want, with who I want, come back when I want, and have plenty of financial freedom along the way. I truly am building a freedom empire. Hey there, I'm Kenyatta Turner, the CEO and founder of Freedom Empire Consulting, where I coach, influence, and protect. I'm also a speaker, an author, and a master trainer, and I also serve as the Chief Behavioral Superpowers Officer for Dream Smart Academy. I will proudly share with you that my behavioral superpower style is an outgoing, fast-paced influencer. I currently live here in Phoenix, Arizona, in the beautiful Valley of the Sun. For the people who decide to work with me, I want them to be unapologetic in their behavioral freedom. I want them to discover, uncover, and unleash their behavioral superpowers and to acquire a deep level of self-awareness and acceptance that allows them to be all that they are capable of. And I want to teach others to do the same. Why? Because #behavior matters all day, every day. To let the world know that I came this way, I will continue to build a vast and expansive behavioral superpowers universe. This will transform the humans on this planet for the better, and I will continue to co-found behaviorally based schools that will affect future generations and leave an infinite legacy. I will revolutionize the personal development industry by infusing behavioral insights that change the game, because quite simply, how you do anything behaviorally is how you do everything. And believe me, I am just getting started.
All right, here we go, you all. Kenyatta Turner is going to talk to us about how to truly accomplish having an organization that's really diverse. Right now, diversity for all of us, everybody has a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer. Is it really working? Are you that person? If that is you, please tap in, dial in, because she's going to talk to all of us about how you can truly accomplish the task that you seek to do. All right, y'all, hit the emojis. Let's give it up for Kenyatta Turner.
Hey, here's a question for you. How does one build a truly diverse and inclusive organization? When you look at the recent statistics, most often the discussion is around race, ethnicity, gender, education, compensation, sexual orientation, religion, political views, and so on and so forth. All of these factors are critically important as we all matter and each human in their own way has something to contribute to the world. Now, I'm here to tell you that those factors are not the only way to create a diverse and inclusive organization. Another measure of diversity actually deals with the human at their core, who they are, why they are, what their unique gifts, skills, talents, and abilities are that they bring to the table. What are their unique behavioral styles? What motivates them? What is their level of emotional intelligence and their coachability? Those things can be measured as easily as measuring something as compensation or formal education. I believe so, but it depends on who you ask. Some may answer that there are psychometric assessments that can be used to determine some of these things. Some may say that there are amazing tools like Myers-Briggs and Kolbe, Enneagram, DISC, Clifton Strengths, Predictive Index, Human Design. These are all fantastic tools that could be used for this purpose. Maybe. Some also say that even a simple subjective self-assessment could be the answer to creating that type of diversity. Well, I have a different perspective, and I am here to tell you about our behavioral tech tool called Behavioral Superpowers, which measures all of that and more. But listen, some may want to compare our tool to a lot of the other popular assessments in the world, and I say go right ahead, and you will quickly find out that this ain't that. You heard me, this ain't that. So let me tell you a quick story. I literally grew up working in corporate post-secondary educational setting. I started at 18 years old working at DeVry University in the admissions office here in Phoenix, Arizona. I literally fell in love with working at a college, and I woke up 13 years later and I was still there. It went by in a blink of an eye. Now, while it was extremely difficult at that very young age, being a Black woman trying to build my career in that industry, I quickly learned that it had a lot less to do with my ethnicity and my gender and what I look like, and a lot more to do with how I showed up every single day. Now, I was then and still am an outgoing, fast-paced influencer. That is my behavioral style. Even at a young age, and without knowing it, I use my behavioral superpowers to get me a seat at all the tables that I chose to sit at. And I ultimately created an extremely successful 25 plus year career by design. Now, I know that hashtag behavior matters all day, every day. And I wish that I'd had access to the behavioral data on myself back then as I do now today. Oh, where would I be if I knew what I knew now about who I am and why I am, and what I bring to the table within an organization from a behavioral standpoint? So listen to this. Behavioral diversity is just as critical in an organization as creating diversity in all other areas. I said it. And if you are in business of providing products or services to humans, then I say it behooves you to create a team that is representative of humans in order to provide the best service. Humans know what humans need. And if you create diversity in that area, then you have a much more likely chance of making sure that you provide what's needed to the people who you're trying to provide it for. Basically, the more diversity that you have in all areas, the higher probability of true and inclusive success, as none of us is as smart as all of us. And the differences and the humanity in us should be identified, recognized, celebrated, and encouraged. So listen to this. I have the answer for you. And quite simply, it starts with learning to become what I call behaviorally and unapologetically you. As Veronica Tagleva said, to know yourself, you must first sacrifice the illusion that you already do. Think about that. But first, let's consider the profound concept of self-awareness. Around the world and for centuries, thought leaders, influencers, philosophers, psychologists, motivational speakers, coaches, etc., 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 at some point usually discuss the importance of self-awareness. A person must understand who they are at their core and what their unique gifts, skills, talents, and abilities are. Everybody says that that's important. It's also stated that it's important that you understand what your purpose is and what you were built to do here on this earth. Every one of us asks this question. Well, all of these statements are true. Yet, it's challenging to determine the answers to those questions until now. As a world-class behavioral superpowers coach, speaker, author, master trainer, I know that how you do anything behaviorally is how you do everything. And hey, I also know that it's not personal, it's just science. Okay? So consider this. One of the biggest, most profound questions that people ask is, who am I? And if a person can answer this question with 100% certainty, then it becomes a mantra that plays in their head throughout their lives, right? We always ask this question. Everyone on this planet has a desire to fit in, yet everyone wants to be different and unique. As humans, it's important to us to have a sense of significance, to know that what we're doing actually matters, that who we are actually makes a difference in the world. We all have that. And I believe that whether or not a person admits it to themselves, that somewhere deep, deep, deep inside of them, there is a yearning for belonging and there is a yearning for understanding. I'll take it a step further to say that the question isn't so much about who am I as it is about why am I? Think about that. Not just who, but why. So in our behavioral superpowers universe, we help people answer this question objectively. I like to say again, it's not personal, it's just science. My name is Kenyatta Turner. I am the CEO and founder of Freedom Empire Consulting, where I coach, influence, and protect. I'm also the Chief Behavioral Superpowers Officer for Dream Smart Academy. And we are likely the only single source Black-owned behavioral science firm in the world. Using behavioral technology, we specialize in decoding human behavior in order to optimize a person's performance, enhance their relationships, and show them how to live a life of authenticity and purpose while walking in what we call their behavioral greatness. Now, our process involves a framework that we call Discover, Uncover, and Unleashing Your Behavioral Superpowers. And the first step really is taking about a 10-minute behavioral discovery exercise that's going to identify what we call your behavioral identities and your behavioral fingerprints, okay? Our omni-channel, scientifically validated technology reveals things like personality and bias and communication style, decision-making variables, natural behavior, your financial relationship management, your emotional intelligence and learning styles, and so much more. I'm not going to get into all the details of that, but think, it's everything. And unlike many other psychometric assessments, we don't simply measure learned behavior. We measure that which is ingrained and that which rarely changes. Now, without getting all behaviorally scientific on you, I will simply state that we measure over 500 different data points, and our research is validated in 125 countries and is in 11 different languages. This is not soft science. This ain't that. Okay. Now we compile the data into 10 behavioral identities, along with 8 behavioral factors and 16 subfactors that reveal with a 91% predictability that these traits will remain stable over the long term. That is why a person only needs to take our exercise one time in their life, which is pretty fascinating. Like I said, this ain't that. Now, I want you to consider a workplace that adds behavioral diversity to the list of cultural traits within that organization. Imagine an organization that builds a team and cultural diversity around behavioral superpowers that already exist on the team and include this framework in all of their processes, including hiring, team development, coaching, training, project management, reward systems, role assignment, etc., etc. What would it be like if all of the conversations that occurred were through a behavioral lens that melted the barriers to communication and created an environment where everyone felt like they were included and that they belonged and were actually celebrated for their differences? Imagine. This won't happen if people do not first know and accept themselves, and you must become behaviorally and unapologetically you and learn to have true self-love before you can truly love everyone else and treat them as such. It's about humanity. This is the starting point for discussions around diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging. Give the human a chance. Give them the gift of behavioral self-awareness so that they can give the gift of acceptance and understanding to others. Now remember, my favorite quote by Veronica Tegleva is, to know yourself, you must first sacrifice the illusion that you already do. So I ask you, how well do you know yourself? Are you curious about learning your own behavioral superpowers? Then I invite you to check out www.discoveryourbehavioralsuperpowers.com to take our unique and super powerful exercise. Learn about yourself, decide for yourself, and remember, this ain't that. My name is Kenyatta Turner. I'm the CEO and founder of Freedom Empire Consulting. I'm also the Chief Behavioral Superpowers Officer for Dream Smart Academy, where we coach, train, and mentor people to understand their own behavioral styles, but we also coach and train others to do the same so that they can teach others to do the same. I'll talk to you next time, and remember, hashtag Behavior Matters. Thanks. Bye.
My biggest challenge came at the end of 2019 when I discovered that I had been gang stalked. I had been watched and followed everywhere I go. My life had been turned upside down, inside out. And instead of becoming fearful, it made me become fearless. I became more resilient. I became unstoppable, immovable, unshakable. So it gave me strength that I thought I never had. And I know that there's a lot of people who might be experiencing the same thing, but are afraid to talk about it. I say, stand in your power because I did, and I'm still standing. After leaving the real estate industry for almost 30 years in the business, I looked around and I was asking myself, what's next? To only realize that what I was looking for was right before me all along. I always loved inspiring, mentoring, encouraging others into becoming a better version of themselves naturally. So I didn't choose to do what I do. I was called and I answered. Reach one, teach one. As I helped others in becoming a better version of themselves, it was always self-healing to me too. So when you win, we all win. Hello, my name is Yolanda Carter. My brand is Elevate to Empowerment Academy. I'm from Los Angeles, California. When you work with me, I want you to walk away feeling encouraged, inspired, and motivated because you've learned that everything that you need is right within you, and I will help you find it. My goal in helping this world to become a better place is reaching one and teaching one at a time, teaching you how to self-love because you can't love another until you have first learned to love yourself.
Yolanda Carter is going to talk to us about return on finish. The great Trevor Ott says that anything that's not finished returns to you void. She's going to talk to us about return on finish. Do you finish what you start? Let's dig in. I know that you, like me, want to know more about this return on finish. Let's get in. Bring it to the stage, Yolanda Carter. Come on, hit those emojis. Whoop, whoop. See you in a little bit.
Hello. I am excited to be here today. I just want you to know that nothing has more power to prevent you from being your greatest success like you. Harness the power from within by tuning out the noise and harness the power from within. Life is too short, and the only thing that we have control over is the power of now. It does not matter what you've been through, and it doesn't matter what you're going through. But what does matter is what you do now. Let me just share a little backstory about myself. I come from the real estate industry. I was living a very lavish lifestyle. I thought I had it all. I had fancy cars. I flew and traveled to the most exotic places. I own several real estate holdings, Los Angeles, Vegas, and here in Los Angeles. Baldwin Hills, they call it Black Beverly Hills. I was making over 6 figures, and then one day, the real estate market crashed, and my life came tumbling down. What was about to happen in my life, I was not prepared for. Let me tell you, I went from having 3 cars to walking. I went from having several properties to sleeping on the couch of relatives. I went from having almost 7 figures to barely $500 a month. My life had took a nosedive and it spun out of control. And the reason being, and the reason why I'm sharing this story with you is because the choices that you make in your life will determine the outcome of your future. What you do now will determine what happens tomorrow. Procrastination was my number one killer that took me down like the Titanic. And I'm telling you, procrastination is a dream killer of your success. Procrastination is also that it will have you making mistakes and missing steps in your life, costing you more money. Procrastination have you in a state of reactive. And when you're reacting, you're not making sound decisions. You're missing steps. You're doing things at a very intense type of energy. And you can't think or function while we're in a reactive mode. But if you develop the power of now, then you can operate in a proactive mode. My sister-in-law, she just passed this past November 2021. She was on her deathbed. She was texting and sending messages and posting about her business on social media. Now, I didn't know that her life was imminent, but apparently she did. My point is, don't let that be you laying on your deathbed trying to get in today that you should have gotten done a long time ago. So don't put off tomorrow what you can get done today, because our life is a series of events and decisions and choices that we make on a daily basis. And the only thing that we have control over is the power of now. See, when I lost my stuff, I saw myself dwelling on the past about what I used to have. And then I was projecting in the future, saying when I get my money, what I was going to do. So what that did, that had me stuck in the past, can't even move into the future, is because I put my life in the future. So while you have a chance and you have the power of now, what are you going to do with it? If there's things that's happening in your life that you don't like, it's because of the decisions that you made in the past. You have to ask yourself, if not now, then when? So whatever it is that you have in your heart, mind, body, and soul, I suggest you do it now. And in order to become something that you have never been, you have to do something that you've never done. And you have to let go of things that you have done in the past, even if it means that you have to let go of who you used to be to become who you're meant to be. My point is that don't take your jewels to the grave. They won't do you any good. Don't be on your deathbed trying to be relevant, because it's too late. We got a lot of millionaires that done took their jewels to the grave. Don't let that be you. The choices that you make today will determine your tomorrow. So I'm encouraging you to step into the power of now, because what you do today means everything. I had to do a little shifting in my mindset to pull myself up out of the bootstrap, out of the mess that I made. And I realized
that the decisions that I made then had brought me to that mess. And I knew that for me to go forward in my life, I could not take that stinking thinking or whatever mindset that I was in to move forward. I had to change my mindset, shift my mindset. I had to let go of toxic people. I had to change the way I spoke. I had to change the way I thought. Let me tell you, energy goes where energy flows. So what you think about, you bring about. So I'm asking you to sit back and think about what it is that you want. And don't let nothing stop you. You don't have to be right or perfect to get started. You don't need a New Year's to get started. All you need is a new day. So again, if not now, then when? Don't let what was given to you, your gift, pass you by overthinking it, by procrastinating, and by outdated beliefs. Step into your power and own it, and let nothing stop or block you. Don't overthink it. Again, you don't have to be perfect to start. You just have to start, and then you'll get perfect. So I'm glad that you came here today to let me share a little bit about me, and I hope to see you soon in the future doing what you're supposed to do by acting now. There's no more power, no greater power than do it now. Have a great day and a prosperous new year. Make changes in what you do and how you do it. Thank you.
My biggest obstacle in my life has been family. And I would like to switch that word out and say relatives, because family is who you make it. And I'm a firm believer in that. And family is also who shows you loyalty. I grew up in a house with seven of us, 6 other siblings, a single parent home. My mother was a single parent. She worked 2 to 3 jobs to take care of us. So we spent a lot of time with our older siblings, my twin brother and I. I am a twin. So when you're that young, you quickly learn your position. You quickly learn the environment, the feel of the home. I chose my business because it is a path untraveled very often, and it is disruptive. It is unique. It is different. I am a carpenter, a Black female carpenter, both commercial and residential. So I've got to build the hotels and I get to build the houses. I'm not only a carpenter, I'm a carpenter foreman and carpenter developer. I actually put that tool belt on. I get out there and I do the work. It builds character. It builds, self-sufficiency. It builds self-confidence. It gives you that instant gratification that the world we live in today, that everyone seeks, is instant gratification to see structure start from start to finish. Hi, my name is JC Sykes, and the name of my companies are 90 Degree Construction, LLC, and Black Girls Build, Inc., which is my nonprofit organization. I am from the Show Me State, St. Louis, Missouri. What I want for the women who decide to work with me is to dare to be different. Step outside of that box and defy all the terms and all the sayings of, that's a man's job. Women don't belong in construction. Women are in construction. We do a very good job, and we bring what the men have not thought about in construction. I plan on making the world a better place by driving more unity in our community. I host workshops that introduce women and young girls to the fundamentals of construction. That's reading a tape measure, using an impact, using the saw. All of these things are beneficial to us women. Not all of us can afford to hire the contractor. Remember, I am the contractor, so I know how much we cost. But if you can't afford to hire one, let me show you how to DIY. Do it yourself. You can do this. Not everyone has the brother, father, man next to them. We can do it, and I am here to teach you how.
So you all, we get ready to hear from JC Sykes, and she's talking about black girls who rock, who disrupt and bust the construction and carpentry industry. Wide open, y'all. I can't wait to hear about this. Yeah, why I can't be fly, why I can't have earrings and necklaces on. But let me tell you, I want to know what and how they are busting that thing open. So let's get into it. Come on, JC, coming to the stage. Bring it up there, you know, drop it. Go on, get your tape measure out and bring her to the stage. Oh, I can't wait to hear this. I can't wait to hear it.
Hi, my name is JC Sykes from Belleville, Illinois, by way of St. Louis, Missouri. I am a multi-award winning author, carpenter turned real estate developer, and founder of Black Girls Build Inc. In the last 2 years, I have trained 63 women in carpentry and safety basics, and I've helped another 13 women enter into the construction union trades. I'm glad to be here with you today. So today I'm going to focus on a little bit about how I got into the construction trades and what that has done to me and how it has changed my life. I have been a carpenter for the last 10 years, both residential and commercial. Being from St. Louis, Missouri, I got to work on some of the biggest projects in St. Louis, Missouri, including some of the downtown structures like the Ballpark Village Hotel and the High Rise, which is connected to our St. Louis Cardinals Stadium and a lot of other major platforms. So that is a huge highlight of my career. I've also built over 200 custom homes in the last 10 years. So we live in a world of instant gratification. What better way to gratify yourself than to see a home or to see a structure start from very foundation to the very end of it when you're putting on a doorknob? And how many of you women have actually been able to help build your houses, become a part of it, and would love to? I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of backstory as far as the numbers goes. There are 10 million construction workers nationwide. And of that 10 million construction workers, only 10% are women. And of that 10% that are women, only 2.5% are actively working on job sites. We live in a world where our world has advanced in technology. And with the advancement of technology, there is less of a demand. There's this enabling of anyone wanting to get into a physically demanding career. Why get into a physically demanding career when you can stay at home, browse the social medias, make videos, and possibly become a millionaire sensation overnight? So of course, the construction industry has suffered tremendously. Men are not entering the trades at the numbers they once entered. This has become a problem as early as the 1960s. And with that pervasive shortage, the world has turned to women for recruitment into the construction trades. Now, I have worked with some amazing, phenomenal women in the construction trades. I know brick masonry professionals, 20 plus years, women. And I'm not just saying women, these are Black women. And that really makes a difference. I've worked with floor layers. I've worked with iron workers. I've worked with HVAC, plumbers, you name it. These are all Black women who have been doing this, and they do a phenomenal job. I can't express to you enough how much fun it is to do what it is I do. Yes, it's physically demanding, but as women, we all are always trying to work on our figures and keep ourselves looking good. So when you enter the construction trades, not only do you get to learn a talent and a skill that no one can ever take from you, you get to stay in shape, you get to build and construct things that you never thought you could be a part of. If you would have told me 20 years ago that I would be a carpenter, you would have fooled me, because in my life, I wanted to be a doctor. I've always had a passion to write, and becoming an author, and I have a book coming out about my experience in the construction trades. It has been just phenomenal working alongside thousands of men. And when you work around thousands of men and you're that one Black girl, you have to have tough skin. You have to do it 10 times as well. And a woman in construction, let alone a Black woman in construction, is disruptive alone in itself. So my goal is to try to help continue to grow those numbers. Those 63 women that I've trained in safety and carpentry basics, they have taken other workshops of mine. They have taken my floor laying workshops. They have taken backsplash workshops. They have taken workshops to not only understand what it is that we do in construction, but also the game of contractors. I've been hit so often being a Black woman in construction, a leader in my community, and I'm a very rare commodity of a carpenter in my community. I have so many women come to me in different scenarios and situations, and they say, hey, JC, I paid a contractor to remodel my house and he ran off with my money, or they charged me $20,000 and I didn't get any work done. So there's a lot of abuse in what we do, and trying to give our women the game and trying to help our women understand that you can do this yourself. My workshops are DIY workshops. Do it yourself. I can show you how to pick that impact up. I can show you how to patch that hole in a wall at your house. I too come from that struggle of being a single mother and being on Section 8 and having those inspections yearly and trying to cover up things that were not right. And I wish I had the skills that I have now then. So I'm a mother of 4, and my kids are all grown or teenagers now. And they too work alongside of me, and I have taught them everything that it is I know. So college is not for everyone. If they decide not to go to college for that degree, they have skills and talents that they can use in their own lives. These can be investment properties, they can be their own personal homes, but they know how to use and do these things safely. Safety is number one for me. It is very easy to get hurt on these job sites. And again, as women, we bring something a lot different to the construction industry. We bring cute because we can do it pretty, and we bring a different skill set because we see things differently than men. It's not us against our men, because we have to work together as a team to do this. No, I cannot build a house by myself. I work along with these men and we do a great job. I just see things a lot differently and we do things a lot differently. So the women that I train in my workshops are always anxiously awaiting the next one. And they come back and they show me the things that they've done on their own. They'll ask me, hey, JC, I did this. How would you recommend? What tool would you recommend? So I do offer a mentorship program after you've taken my carpentry basics workshop. And I would love to turn what it is I'm doing into an apprenticeship school, because the conversation has come up time and time again. And it's something that I'm really looking forward to having happen, because if you go into the construction union has a tone that has not changed in over 100 years. And what that means is, when the unions were created, they were created to not save jobs for us, because we were the ones who had the skills initially anyway. They were created to have jobs for anyone outside of us. So again, when you enter the trades union, when my personal experience with the union, I did not learn much. There was a lot of conscious bias in the union, and it wasn't something that I was willing to deal with. So I left. And when I left the construction union, I started my own business, 90 Degree Construction. My husband and I, we have thrived since 2012 as carpenter contractors. As of this year, we have transitioned from being just a contractor to the developer. And there is no better way to become a real estate developer than coming from the construction trades, because not only do you understand how to build a house and what things are supposed to look like and how they're supposed to flow, you actually can put that tool belt on when needed and get in there. If you don't have the manpower, like we're talking about now, manpower is short. It is our biggest obstacle right now, is manpower. They're not teaching it. They're not pushing it in schools. Trying to raise awareness has been an ongoing process, and I won't give up. I am looking to get more of my sisters involved, because we can do this. I have women come to me in domestic violence situations. Hey, my door got kicked in. My windows are busted out. And I understand as a contractor how much contractors cost. Not all of us can afford to pay a contractor. So let me teach you how to do it yourself. This is something no one can take from you. This is something that you can do and be proud of. When you come to my workshops, we build something that you can take with you. We build an entryway bench to start in their safety basics carpentry workshop. That's what we build. You build it from the ground up. I'm right there the whole entire time to assist. And most of my participants come back to volunteer. So out of the 63 women I've trained, we've had at least 200 women within the community, 200 women come out and volunteer their time just to see if there's something they like. And then they sign up for workshops. So we have workshops coming up. Again, the children's workshops, the kids love it. They are so pure. And, and when you teach a kid the way to go when they're young, it sticks with them. What did we all love to do when we were kids? We love to go outside and play. So going outside and play is just like what we do in construction. You get to play. You get to get dirty, and you get to build stuff, and you get to play, and you get to use your hands and your creativity and your imagination. That's what we do in construction, and we have a great time doing it, okay? So that is what I'm bringing to the world. It's not just a job. This is self-confidence building, character building, building self-sufficiency, building self-care together. Is building unity in our community, because these women come to my workshops, they start helping each other, they build relationships, they keep in contact. They definitely keep in contact with me. They come shadow me on job sites, and some of them have even left their permanent jobs to enter into a field of construction trades. So again, I am JC Sykes, founder of Black Girls Build Inc. And I challenge you, all of the women in our community, to look into the construction trades. Pick up a hammer, do something you've never done, and have fun with it. Build yourself up. You can check me out at www.bgb2, that's the number 2.org. Peace and love.
Welcome to the Black CEO Conference, Impact and Revenue. Thank you so much for choosing my workshop today to come and learn a little bit more about how holistic healing is the fuel for successful living. I'm not feeling my best today, but I have made sure that I put the fuel in my body that is needed to make sure that I bring you the best workshop ever. And so today, I want to tell you in advance, I apologize if I sound a little thick in my voice, but I want you to know that the information that I am going to give to you is still going to be the top-notch information that is needed for you to have a successful life. All right, so you're probably saying, who is this person? Well, my name is Anya Ware, and I am the founder and owner of Anya's Wellness right here in Greenville, South Carolina. So to you all who are close by, feel free to stop in and give us a chat or come and get some services. But I just want to start off with telling you who I am. So, first of all, I am an author. Yes, I am a new author as of 2020, and I wrote my very first book, Eyes Open, which is now available on Amazon. I am an apostle of the gospel of Jesus Christ, as well as I am a business owner, as I stated, of Anya's Wellness, a division of the Soothing and Comforting Touch Incorporated. I serve as the holistic healing specialist here at Anya's Wellness. I'm a mother, theatrical producer. I'm a singer, a songwriter, a visionary, and yes, even a wife. So you're probably saying, well, who is she and why does she feel that she can tell us how to live a successful life? Well, I'm not giving you something that I don't know firsthand. I'm coming to you to let you know that in order for you to live a successful life, there has to be a certain alignment of your body, your mind, and your spirit. And so, as a holistic healing specialist, I believe that I'm an expert in this particular area. I've been in business now for almost 20 years, coming up in March. And so, therefore, I feel like I have a little bit of something to share with you. So, without further ado, let me just introduce what we're going to be talking about today. So, today's topic is holistic healing, the fuel to successful holistic living. You know, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever been at the gas pump and put the wrong fuel into your tank? You know, this lady on here, she looks as if, she's struggling trying to put the gas in, or maybe she's trying to make sure that she has enough gas just to get that last little bit to tip it off, maybe. Well, have you ever felt where, maybe you didn't have the right amount or type of fuel, going into your gas tank? And I'm talking about this one right here, this tank right here. So I want to talk to you today about making sure that you put the right fuel in your tank to make sure that you have a successful life. So what happens? Well, most of the time, you already know when you put the wrong type of fuel in your car, you get poor performance. Maybe you've even damaged your car overall. And then sometimes, if you put the wrong fuel, or when you put the wrong fuel into your car, you'll be drained. If you put the right type of fuel into your body and your car, and we're using a car today because I want to bring it home on how the whole totality of things work together. But if you put the right type of fuel into your body and your car, most of the time you have a fully operational vehicle, high performing. And then most of all, you will be fulfilled. Isn't that amazing? So, has anybody ever felt like you were out of gas? Even on today, as I stand before you to bring forth this workshop, I'm feeling a little drained, but I'm pushing past because I know that the things that I have already put into my body are going to help me overcome and still be able to present the best topic for you today. So, I want to ask you another question. Have you ever run out of gas? Well, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story of running out of gas. One day, my children and I, we were supposed to be going up to a travel basketball team event. And that particular morning was already jam-packed. I mean, I was doing a conference that morning at like 8 o'clock. My son had to be at, I think it was the Salvation Army, to help with serving some meals to the homeless. And he had to be there a little bit earlier, and it wasn't that far apart. So I thought, we can make this happen, right? And on top of that, I knew after we got finished with all of that, that soon we would be having to go up to the mountains for a travel basketball tournament. And so after we finished all of those particular events that we had for the morning, we were headed to pick up my youngest son. And I said, looks like we need some gas. But you know what? I wasn't as close as to the E as this picture right here. I really thought that maybe, just maybe, I got a half tank in here and we can make it, right? Well, we started up the mountains. And if anybody is if you're from the area, the Southeast, you know that when you're going north, most of the time, especially if you're going towards the mountains, a lot of times there's a lot of curves, twists and turns, and not a lot of stop areas or gas stations or anything other than scenery, basically. So we were on our way, and I started to see the gas can come down. You can imagine the panic that I was having, right? So I was trying to stay calm, didn't tell my children. I was like, I think we're going to make it. But I was like, but we need to start looking for gas stations. Well, if you've also been to the mountains, you know that a lot of times the signals get lost up there. We didn't know where we were going. So I had the GPS on, trying to make sure that we got to the tournament on time and safely, only to come to a situation where the signals were lost. So I had no clue where we were, no clue where we were going, and no gas stations whatsoever in sight. Whew, you can imagine the panic that I was feeling. I began to pray, y'all. I mean, seriously, I was like, God, I need for you to definitely intervene right now. I know I should have got the gas, but please, God, please give us a gas station so that we can get some gas and keep going towards the tournament. Well, every little spot that we kept passing, it kept saying diesel fuel. Well, I know that my car takes unleaded fuel, so why was I going to stop at the diesel fuel place? Only to find out later on, and I'm going to make the story short and simple, only to find out, well, they probably did have regular gas, but they were wanting people to know that they had diesel fuel available as well. But what happened was we ended up banking it, trying to get up the hill to get back to a gas station from where we had started from, and found a gas station eventually. But now you need to keep in mind, we were going uphill. And so with us going uphill, y'all, the juggle is real. It really became a juggle trying to figure out where and how we were going to get to this gas station. But thankfully, we were able to make it to the gas station. But I'm telling you, I thought I could make it, right? But I do want to give this PSA. Please, if you see a need to fill up your tank, please do not. And I do repeat, do not wait. So as I said, we were going uphill, and then you can imagine, you look at these two fellas right here. One's pushing and one's sitting on the car. Well, they look like they're probably about the same age and look like they're probably about the same weight. So for the guy that's pushing, as you can see, one foot is off the floor. He's probably really having to shove this guy. I see his hand in his back. So he's really having to put his all into getting his brother or whoever this might be to his destination. Well, that's exactly what we had to do. We ended up having to give it our all. We had to pray. And I mean pray. My children, this was a lesson for both myself and my children. My children were able to see the benefit of and the power of prayer. And if you haven't recognized already, faith is definitely a big part of my life. So my children began to pray. And I was like, God, please, we were even at the point of tears. Please let us get to a gas station so that we don't run out of gas. We don't know anybody up here. I don't know how we would get home. We didn't have anybody who would be able to come and rescue us. So it was just, we just really, really had to pray. But although it took more energy to go uphill and down, we still made it just fine to the gas station. And we were able to get back on our way to the tournament and got there safely. So I say all of that to say, the body, mind, and spirit must be aligned to have a successful life. And my motto as a holistic healing specialist is just that. I feel like everything works with everything. If your body is out of whack and maybe your mind is out of whack, but maybe you have your spirit intact, it's not going to work. Or, maybe you have your mind and your spirit intact, but your body is just broken down. It's probably not going to work, okay? So, and in all of that, sometimes you can feel just like these letters spell, discombobulated. So today I want to talk to you and let you know what it means to have holistic healing. Now, I know sometimes you may have heard people say holistic and holistic. They're both the same. They're just spelled differently, but they're interchangeable. So I do want to tell you today, holistic is holistic. All right. So holistic healing is a form of holistic medicine that considers the whole person, the body, mind, and spirit. Health is a state of complete harmony with body, mind, and spirit. When one is free from physical disabilities and mental distractions, the gates of the soul are open. And that is by BKS Iyengar. I want to give you a visual today of what it means to have everything aligned. If you look at this picture right here, you see how the body has its own circle, the mind has its own circle, and the spirit has its own circle. But yes, yet and still, they intertwine with each other. So that lets you know that without one operating to its full capacity, the others will go lacking. So it's very important for them all to link together to make the best possible life for you. So when we think about a car, we look at cars, and as you can see on this picture, there's a banged up pink van, and you got the white SL, you got the tires, you got the engine over here, you got the gas. So I want to make sure that you understand, just as a car, we function with the body, mind, and spirit as well. So to give the example of using a car, the car has a body, it has tires, it has the outer part, okay? Just like we have, you know, our limbs, we have skin, all of that. We have the outer parts that operate. Some look good, some not so good. You know, everybody is not necessarily blessed the same way. However, you can still make sure that they are all aligned. So I like to look at the car, the engine, the inside parts. I look at that as the mind. So you have the engine, you got the alternator, you have the battery, the starter. You have all of these other components that's inside of the car to make the car move or to be able to function properly. Then the last part, which is, I call it the spirits, it's the gas. You have to have the gas combustion in order for the car to be able to move at all. You know, what good is a car that has a beautiful body, the inside of it has all of these nice engines, and you know, for all of you car lovers, I know that you can appreciate a nice looking engine, you know, making sure that everything's shiny and up to par. Your wheels have rims on them, and everything is just beautiful. But if you have no gas, the car isn't going anywhere, right? Now, I have to kind of step back on that note because we are in a new age where we have cars now that work off of electricity. So not necessarily all cars have to have the gas, which is I consider as the spirit. But for the most part, we still live in the day and age where we have to have gas in order to move a car along, correct? So the same goes for us. What I am saying is, in order for the body, the mind, and spirit of a vehicle to thrive to its greatest potential in functioning, it must operate as a whole. Every part matters, and so do we. So you may be asking, when does holistic healing allow for a successful living? Well, in the body, when we're eating healthy, taking care of our body, making sure we have enough of water, staying hydrated, making sure we have the vitamins we need, exercising, making sure that we have self-care, i.e. at Anya's Wellness, we offer massage therapy. All of those things matter in order to make sure that the outside of our body is taken care of and is strong enough to handle any task that we may need to accomplish through a successful life. Then let's take a look at the mind. One of my favorite scriptures is, "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in thee." And that comes from Isaiah 26:3. And that is so true because, a lot of times people's minds are off kilter, which then causes the body to come into disarray, and definitely their spirit, or what we call the soul, becomes a heavy burden. And so it's very important for us to keep all of these particular parts intact. Have you ever felt inadequate? Missed the deal as a CEO? Literally felt crazy? Whatsoever things are honest and pure, I want you to know those are the things that we need to think upon. And as a Black CEO, it can be very daunting, oftentimes, to hear multiple no's or have doors shut in your face or even slammed in your face, which causes, your mental state to come down. Maybe you felt like you weren't good enough, or you weren't worthy of the amount of money that you asked for a particular deal. Maybe the individual that you were talking to couldn't see the value of what you had to offer. No matter what success looks like to you, I want you to know you just need to fuel up and succeed. It is very possible. This is just a slide to show you, as a Black CEO, we have so many different titles, whether it's the businesswoman, the businessman, the teacher, the doctor, the boxer, the basketball player, the real estate agent. Maybe you're the family guy or woman. Maybe you're the financial individual that's bringing in all of the money. Maybe you're, just the art teacher. You're the graduate. You're the attorney. You're the blueprint person. Whatever your success means, you can accomplish it if you get the holistic healing fuel that you need in order to succeed in life. And what do I mean by that? I just simply mean, make sure you align everything up. Align your body, your mind, and your spirit. And one of the most important parts for me is making sure that your spiritual life is intact. Because oftentimes when you allow your spiritual life to be intact, that will allow you to make sure that you maintain your mental capacity, which will then allow your body itself to maintain its highest potential and capacity to perform. When we allow transformational holistic healing to fuel the fire that keep us as CEOs going, we can have a successful holistic life. So I want to tell you today, success is something that everybody wants to have. So in order for you to gain it, I truly believe that there has to be an alignment of your body, your mind, and spirit. So the main thing is, keep all of those things intact and go get it. It's yours, and you can have a successful life. Thank you.
One of my greatest or current obstacles in life happens to be my desire to want to help as many people as I can with improving their communication. And it's an obstacle, or becomes an obstacle, because everyone does not desire to work on how they communicate with people. I chose my business because I understand and have known for quite some time the importance of what we say to people. And that stems from my childhood. I've always been one to, at one point in time, I would be the person to hold things in, because I've always been conscientious of the fact that what we say can hurt or uplift someone. And it's important to me that the world, the masses, that I'm able to just share the message with the masses that we've got to really work on how we communicate using our tone of voice, our word choice, and our body language. Hi, I'm Dr. Nikisha Doctor, CEO of Jalaya Consulting Incorporated, and I am from the Sunshine State of Florida. For those that desire to work closely with me as women entrepreneurs and boss chicks, one of those things that I strongly desire for them to walk away with is that confidence and that clarity within themselves, that they can do this, that they can communicate effectively with anyone at any time in any particular place. I plan to make the world a better place by continuing to help people to understand how important it is to work on our communication on a daily basis, helping others, helping the world to know globally what we've got to do to continue to work on communicating with clarity and confidence within, so that people will know how to best serve us as individuals, so that people can give us what we need and what we desire by being able to express what we've been holding in for so long and just being able to unmute their voices.
Your transformation architect is back. Speaker Stephanie. Listen, Dr. Nikisha Doctor is talking about my favorite subject, unmuting yourself. She says it's time to come off of mute and show up like a boss chick. She gonna tell you and show you and give you tools and tips and strategies how to use your voice to be the best version of who you are. Listen, come off mute. Y'all see my cup? Don't block your blessings. Don't block your strategies. Don't block your opportunities. Don't block your possibilities. Doctor's going to give you what you need. So go ahead, hit that emoji and give her the clap, fireball, hearts, or whatever it is that you want to give her. But give her her flowers. Bring it to the stage. Doctor.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nikisha Doctor, CEO of Jalaya Consulting, and I show up to teach women entrepreneurs and executives how to unmute their voices and find their seat spot so that they're able to communicate with clarity and confidence and the ease necessary to connecting with their customers and their employees. Listen, I'm so excited to be here with you today. I don't know what to do with myself. If you are ready for next level, let's go. I'm showing up today because I want to share with you all of my women professionals, any women, all of the women boss chicks that are out there. I want you to grab your pen and pencil so that I can share some valuable information with you today. I'm going to share with you how to communicate like a boss chick and how to unmute so that you're able to unmute your voices in your business. I'm going to give you three ways to show up in your business and unmute your voice in your businesses. Listen, I want you to grab it. We're going hard now. I want to share something with you really quick, and I want you to go with me for a second. You're looking at one of those women business owners. You're looking at a women boss chick, a CEO of a company who also wears multiple hats. I get it. You don't have to tell me much more. I get it. I understand. And in this space, when we wear multiple hats, sometimes we don't even really realize how often we do away with or we dim our shine, not intentionally. It's just often done, haphazardly because we don't even realize that we're doing it. It's done because we're wearing the multiple hats and we're trying to serve those that we're connected to in our teams and in our businesses. But if you're any woman like me, who's been that person that you've been doing it so long that you have needed a reality check and say, hey, listen, I've got some needs too. I've got some desires and wants and things that I want to communicate, but you've been in a place where you've been unable to do that. You don't even have a clue of where to get started. Maybe you're that woman who's been trying to figure this thing out all on your own. Like, how can I really get people to understand what I'm saying and what it is that I'm trying to convey to them, having conversations with people in the boardrooms or in your team meetings, and or even in your household for that matter, you're trying to express to your children or your spouses that, listen, I just need a minute. I need to gather my thoughts. I need to figure this thing out. But you're too afraid to say that. Maybe you're that woman who's been kind of putting things, your desires, your needs on the back burner and not communicating to your family and to your teams what's so important to you. You've been focused on making sure that the business is moving and that the customers are satisfied and your teams are having everything that they need in place so that you're able to be an effective, business leader. But what we don't tend to realize is that if we don't see about ourselves first and we don't slow down enough to get those things in and take care of our personal needs as well, and we don't communicate that, we'll never get to that place. We'll never be healthy enough to continue to serve others because we haven't even uttered a word or communicated those things that we need. See, this is what you've got to know. People hear what you say and not what you intend to say. I realize that you're probably trying to figure out like, well, doctor, how am I supposed to focus on communicating what I need when I run a business? Or how can I get that done when my children and my spouse are counting on me? They're depending on me to still show up in the best version of myself. Well, sis, can I be honest with you? You can't show up in the best version of yourself if you're not willing to communicate and do it authentically from a place where you are at peace with being able to confidently express what you need and what you desire to achieve and desire to conquer in your life. You've got to express what you need. You should never expect something of someone that you never communicated. Hands down, point blank, period. I know I said it. You should never expect something of someone that you never communicated to them. It'll never happen because you've never communicated that which you needed as a boss chick in your company. So here it is. I want you to grab that pen and paper. I'm going to give you three ways in which you can unmute your voice and show up boldly in your businesses. Communicating like a boss chick. This is where it is. I need you to grab that pen and paper. Key number one, you've got to be mindful of the importance of speaking with clarity. Jot it down. You're going to speak with clarity. That's really what's important. If you want people to be able to understand you, you want to unmute your voice, you've got to be able to speak with clarity, and it means something. What do you mean by that? Just begin to be sure that you are clear and concise when you're communicating with your children at home or your spouses at home, or even in your businesses, your team meetings, whatever that looks like, even with your clients. You've got to be willing and ready to communicate with clarity. Nobody understands the mumbo jumbo. They don't want a lecture. They don't want anything full and blown out and drawn out. They've got to have the clarity necessary. Why? Because we're all different and we have our own DNA. So they've got to have the clarity that they need that will suit their communication style best. That's where it starts. That's key number one. Strategy number two, and I'm going pretty quick because I want you to grab what you need so that you can hear some of the other amazing information that's going to be shared with you throughout our time together. Key number two, you want to be sure that you're communicating with some consideration. So be considerate of those that you're communicating with. Number one, I said to communicate with clarity. You're going to unmute your voice and speak with clarity. Number two, you want to be considerate of those that you're communicating with. When you do unmute your voice, when you show up and begin to speak, be considerate of who you're talking to at the time, because this is the reality of things. We are all different. We all have our own different communication styles, and we have our own love languages. You got to know that one size does not fit everybody's foot. One size shoe will not fit every woman's shoe or every male that you work with. It just doesn't go down like that. It doesn't work that way. Each of us have our own DNA. So that means that you've got to be considerate of who you're having the conversation with in the moment. Who is it that you're speaking with one-on-one in your business meetings? Or who is it or you're conferencing with wherever you are? Who is it that you're speaking to in your homes? You've got to be considerate of who you're speaking to so that you can choose your words wisely. It's important that you know who you're speaking with, and having that on the forefront will help you to center your thoughts and how to get that verbalize and how to express your thoughts. That's key number 2. Key number 3, here it is. Are you ready? I've said we want to speak up. You want to unmute your voice and speak with clarity. Number 2, you're going to unmute your voice and be considerate of those that you're speaking with. And then number 3, here it is. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? You got to show up and communicate with the confidence necessary. Don't be timid about what it is that you need. Whatever you need and whatever you desire to see come forth in your companies, in your businesses, in your homes, ladies, you've got to unmute your voice and speak with the confidence necessary that's required. It's required to step up boldly so that people will take you serious. You've got to know the importance of speaking up with the confidence that you need. That's that courage we're talking about. Having the courage to speak up with the confidence so that you're able to get and reap those results that you desire in your businesses or in your households. Let's go back. Let's take a quick recap on what we've already talked about. Key number 1, I said that you're going to communicate with clarity. There it is. I said it. Communicating with clarity, making sure that you are clear about that which you're sharing with those that you are communicating with, and making sure that they understand exactly what it is that the message you're trying to convey. That's what's so important. You won't get those results that you're seeking if you're not clear in what you're saying. Be clear and concise in everything nice. Clear and concise. Speak on it, provide the clarity that people need, and hop off of the topic. What that looks like, you'll simply make sure. You can even ask questions to make sure that the clarity was given when you communicated it. So if you're talking about speaking in a team meeting, or if you're talking about speaking with your children at home, you can ask probing questions. Well, did you understand? Are we on the same page? Did you understand? Did everyone understand exactly what I'm expecting or what I'm looking for? You have to ask questions to make sure that there's clarity provided before you even exit the room. That's how you can assess whether or not a person understands what you're saying and whether or not you were clear in your messaging. Key number 2, I said that you want to speak with some consideration. You're going to unmute your voice and consider who you're speaking to in the moment. So it's important because we're all different. And I cannot stress that enough. People are not the same. You cannot place everybody in the same box and expect the same exact results, because we all have a different need when it comes to communicating. We all have a different need, and you've got to make sure that you're considerate of who you're speaking to. You can't give the same language or messaging to one team member or one client or customer and expect that to still work for the others. You can't even do that with your own children at home. You can't tell one of your children something and turn around and expect to be able to say that to another child and they have the same exact understanding. Why? Because we're not wired that way. It's unfair to think that somebody could, if you have one universal messaging way in which you communicate with people, that everybody that you're connected with or come across that cross your paths in your company or in your life at some point, that they're going to just grab hold to everything you said and you not have to work on curtailing or, changing up or thinking about revising what you're saying. Absolutely not. You're setting yourself up for some slight disappointment. I have to tell you the truth. And that's all that I'm going to give you today is the truth. Number 3, I said that you want to be ready to unmute your voice and speak up with the confidence. That's that courage that you need to show up in the best version of yourself. If you're not confident about what you're saying, how in the world can you expect other people to even respect or receive what you're saying and you're not even confident in the messaging that you're giving to other people? That's so necessary that you understand that how you show up affects the results that you're going to get back from your clients or customers, if you will, and also from your teams and even from those in your household. If you're not confident and you mean exactly what you're saying and you stand in that truth, if you don't do that, you're doomed to get results that you weren't even expected to get. So listen, it's been my pleasure to be with you. I hate that our time has to come to an end, but I want to make sure that I'm out of your way so that you can enjoy the rest of your day with the lineup that's coming forward behind me, that's coming, that continues to flow throughout this day. I hope that you've gotten everything that you've needed on this, during our time together, so that you're able to now go out into the world and communicate like a boss chick. You've been given 3 ways to unmute your voice in your businesses. It's been my pleasure to be with you. I'm Dr. Nikisha Doctor, CEO of Jalaya Consulting Incorporated, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.
So I've had many big obstacles, but the biggest obstacle, I must say, it was my divorce. And I'm grateful for all of them because they propelled me to another level of spiritual awakening. But that divorce, it hit really differently. It sent me into recovery. Yes, I am a recovering perfectionist. I was as a little girl, and as a woman, I was so afraid of failure and making mistakes that I created so much rigor and pensiveness in my life, setting and holding unrealistic expectations for myself and for others. And though I'm not a proponent for divorce, I really needed that divorce to save me, to learn just how amazingly perfect I already am, flaws and all, without trying to be perfect. I started Queendom Connections to help women who've lost themselves in the old mental patterns of shame, self-doubt, self-betrayal, and people-pleasing, just like I did, which accompanies life circumstances. For me, it was divorce. For somebody else, it may be trauma from abuse, job loss, poverty, but to shift from that inner chaos and disorder to divine alignment and to find the clarity of who they really are. So in other words, just as I found my true connection, I'm on a mission to help queens make the same powerful connection and take back dominion over their territories, the body, the soul, and the spirit. I am affectionately and professionally known as Dr. Kreslin, and I am the founder of Queendom Connections, where women find clarity about their true identity and they take dominion over their territory. I am from Houston, Texas, by way of Huntsville, Alabama. My desire for those who make this Queendom connection is for them to decide and to commit to do their own inner work, for them to allow me to help them to tap into that power source where they can find the courage to disrupt those old patterns and thought processes that no longer serve them, to find the freedom to be authentic and queenly, and the audacity to love, care, and believe in themselves as much as they do everyone else. My plan and mission is simple. I will make the world better by empowering the masses to excel, not just in education, careers, and businesses, but in our spiritual lives first, in love for all mankind, and in leadership of self and of the people who are within our immediate sphere of influence before going out to the world. Because when we become better from the inside out, our relationships become better, our families become better, and our neighborhoods become better. So the world automatically. Hello, my name is Dr. Kreslin Kelly Ellis, affectionately known as Dr. Kreslin, and I am an empowerment coach and consultant. But most importantly, I am a spiritual Black woman married to a spiritual Black man. We have Black children with Black grandchildren. So it is imperative that I mention my family's race in this introduction, because it is important to me that those who sit under the sound of my voice right now understand that though I am about to reveal some powerful and painful truths, I am coming from a place of love and compassion for all people to whom this information may apply. That said, the focus of the topic I am discussing with you today is the cultural self-betrayal of Black women. Over the past year, I have conducted hundreds of hours of research on this subject to fulfill the requirements of my second doctorate. My first is in education, and this one's in psychology. If you are a researcher, then you know that you don't always choose what you're going to study. But when you start digging, oftentimes your study chooses you. And I must say that is exactly what happened to me. My topic chose me. I believe I was chosen because I am courageous enough to share the facts, but also compassionate enough to withhold judgment, to share hope, because there is always hope. Now, I would love to boom, 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 knock on the door of your mind and hearts, Black CEOs, the way that Miss Laura did when she knocked on her teenage daughter's bedroom door one evening. Although she could twist the knob, which meant that the door was unlocked, she could not get in. The weight of the dresser on the other side of the door was much heavier than her strength to open it. So she knocked and knocked and knocked until her daughter Rachel had time to push the dresser back and open the door. Laura was confused and nearly angry, and she insisted that Rachel tell her why her dresser was pushed up to the door. And after a few minutes, Rachel breaks down in tears and confides in her mother that she had been raped by her brother's friend, who was frequently a trusted guest in their home. And putting the dresser up to the door was Rachel's way of protecting herself from any future encounters with him. Rachel was horrified and severely traumatized by this assault. Her mother was distraught because she also had been sexually violated as a teenager. And she thought she had done everything possible to protect her child from it. Laura sought counsel from a trusted friend and revealed that she nor her daughter wanted to report this abuse. Now, as an outsider looking in, I would say, why? Why would she not report this young man who violated her daughter? But as a mother, thinking, what if it were my son? I then become very conflicted. I know that I would pray for mercy on my son, not to be labeled a sex offender and get caught up in a justice system that is not usually fair to him. I also think about what if I were that mother or that daughter? I can only imagine the guilt and the shame I would feel, wondering if it was my fault, if there was something I could have done to prevent this. Would people view me as an unfit mother who allowed this to happen on her watch? If I were the young lady, I can only imagine I would be afraid of how people would view me. Would they call me out of my name? Would they say it was my fault? All of these thoughts and questions help me understand why this mother and child were reluctant to report. Unfortunately, this is the plight of many Black girls and women. You see, in the US Black community, 30% of Black women and girls experience sexual assault from someone of the same race. Yes, this happens to white women too. It happens to women of all races and ethnicities. Sexual violence against women all over the world is a tremendous public health concern. However, Black girls and women in America are sexually violated far more than their white counterparts, and 2.5 times the rate of other women in the US. But get this, only 1 in 15 Black women report their sexual violent experiences, which leads me to think that the number is far more than 30% who are violated. The research on cultural betrayal trauma reveals that after Black women are sexually violated, she has only 2 choices: report the incident and face public ridicule from her own community who wants to protect their reputation and protect the perpetrator from the justice system, or 2, report the incident while fearing maltreatment from the justice system for themselves. So basically, Black women are stuck between a rock and a hard place. The pressure from the community to shut up and take it, and the hard place the chance of being mishandled by the justice system or even by social service organizations. And that is why this type of betrayal is so traumatic. Let me explain this cultural self-betrayal of Black women. Sexual violence is a sexual contact made with a person, made against a person without their permission. Betrayal is deceitfulness and the act of breaking one's trust. Betrayal is deceitfulness and the act of breaking one's trust. Cultural betrayal is defined by Jennifer Gomez as the violation of intracultural trust, which stems from abuse from a member within the same group. Now, what that means in this case is that it's when a Black woman is betrayed by a Black man who she depends on to protect her in an unjust society. Most Black women and people in general already suffer trauma related to discrimination and social inequalities. So when we are betrayed by someone who is supposed to be on our side in an unjust society, our trauma becomes cultural betrayal trauma. Finally, when women and girls, men and boys for that matter, share their betrayal with others who don't believe them, who fail to protect them or make them feel ashamed, then it is easy for this cultural betrayal to become cultural self-betrayal. What is self-betrayal? I'm glad you asked, because self-betrayal is breaking trust with yourself, and it is very hard to recover from. Components of self-betrayal have been defined by some researchers as self-blame, detachment from those around you, emotionally numbing yourself and detaching from one's own feelings, and having mixed and contradictory thoughts and feelings about an incident or an individual. All of these elements are self-defeating and self-sabotaging attributes that undermine one's opportunity to get help. This was proven in a 2016 study where women in a drug center shared their experiences of being sexually abused as girls, which led to their promiscuous and addictive behaviors as teenagers, seeking love and acceptance after being betrayed multiple times. They were first violated by men in their lives, and then the violation continued as they shared it with family members who then physically abused them for speaking about the abuse, by social workers and school teachers who did nothing. Now, some of them thought they were protecting the child from additional abuse by not telling, but that was still a form of betrayal still. And then by betraying themselves when they had the opportunity to get help, but held on and protected the security they knew, although it was harmful and it was feeding destructive behavior in their lives. Now, make this note. The self-betrayal does not begin with children, but with the person who betrays them. The perpetuation of betrayal of a child, or any person for that matter, teaches people to betray themselves. Basically, self-betrayal is often a learned behavior and may even be embedded in one's DNA. Let me clarify with one scenario. Nikki was a 7 or 8 year old, and she and her siblings and other young relatives and neighborhood friends were running around playing in her grandparents' backyard. And in a game of You're It, the small children sat on the backs and the necks of the older children, making them taller than everyone else. They were holding on and trusting the older members and friends not to fall and to help them win the game. After a few minutes of loud laughter, Nikki's game ended abruptly with her partner as she bent over on the side of him to get into his ear, slapped him on the shoulder, and whispered firmly, "Put me down." As young as she was, she handled the teen, who was at least 9 years her elder, aggressively but discreetly, knowing that if anyone else out there knew he was trying to put his fingers in places that they didn't belong, they would have beat him to a pulp. Now, I am not sure how Nikki, little Nikki, which is me, got the courage to protect herself. So I don't take credit. Maybe I was lucky, blessed, or such a fighter that I lashed out. I don't know. But what I know is that many other Black women and girls aren't so fortunate. And I thank God that that it didn't go any further. I don't know how I knew to protect him. I don't recall being told at any time in my childhood, don't tell if someone hurts you, or if you report anything to the police, they are not going to treat you fairly. So today I wonder if my response to protect this perpetrator was innate. Was it in my DNA to protect this young man? I don't know, but what my research reveals is that silence is a coping strategy that has been rooted in Black women's experience since their abuse during slavery, when they had no recourse whatsoever. They were subjected to hard labor, sexual and physical assault, the threat of being separated from their family at any time, and they were forced to withhold any complaints and negative emotions. Consequently, suppressing their emotions and staying quiet, or in other words, shutting up and taking it, along with other strong Black women tendencies, have been passed down by Black women throughout many generations. And even now, hundreds of years later, the silence persists. Although I didn't take it, I kept quiet. So did I really protect myself? According to my research, not responding could have easily set me up for re-victimization, which means by not telling anyone, the trauma experience could have led to anxiety, depression, suicidality, and many forms of self-sabotaging behavior, where I, just like the women in the treatment center, could have remained in a cycle of betrayal and self-betrayal. In fact, this is my first time revealing this information in over 40 years. And here's why. I did not know then what I know now. And here's what I know now, that not only are 30% of Black women and girls subjected to sexual violence, but Black women are 4 times more likely to be killed by their partners than white women. Black women are 2 times more likely to be killed by their husbands than white women. Black women are 5 times more likely to be abused as children than white women. And in one study, researchers even indicated that of 312 Black women, 53% experienced their first sexual initiation between the ages of 11 and 14. And 74% of them reported that their encounter was forced or pressured. 81% of them reported that the non-consensual incident was with non-partners, which means that their perpetrators were either family friends, fathers, stepfathers, mothers, boyfriends, family members, or neighbors. Staggering, huh? Well, I sincerely hope that the doors of your hearts and minds are now open, while all of this knocking has been taking place in the last few minutes. But let me recap with 3 simple statements. Black women and girls in the US are at high risk for sexual violence and mental health challenges, higher than anyone else. When they are violated by someone in their home or their community, they are stuck between a rock and a hard place. The rock is their community telling them to shut up and take it. The hard place is the possibility of being mistreated by law enforcement if they report it. The cultural betrayal is often perpetrated by others who fail to protect them. All of these betrayals lead to self-betrayal, which also produces negative mental health outcomes. Finally, although violence and cultural self-betrayal are prevalent in Black women and girls, they are also being perpetuated at increasing rates in Black boys and Black men. You may be asking, okay, this is a lot of information. What do I do? Well, I'm reminded of the quote by Gandhi, be the change that you want to see in this world. That said, instead of trying to move the hard place, maybe trying to convince the judicial system and social services that should treat Black women reporting their sexual violence to them with warmth and compassion and a dignity the way they would white women, maybe we should focus on removing the rock, the community, the pressure that the community puts on the Black women. We should encourage women to get help when they have been victimized. We should share this message with others. And as caring, intelligent, and influential Black people, we should apply research-based tools for breaking the cycle of self-betrayal in our own lives so that we can break this cycle off of the generations to come. I will share specific strategies in my upcoming workshop, Breaking the Cycle of Self-Betrayal. But right now, know this. Breaking the cycle starts with identifying your own trauma and betrayal in your community that led to your self-betrayal. If betrayal is deceitfulness and the act of breaking trust, then self-betrayal is deceiving yourself and the act of not trusting yourself. The number one trait of self-betrayal is identified in a 2018 public opinion study where nearly 50% of the participants stated experiencing self-betrayal multiple times in their lives. And these participants were men and women. But the number one thing was compelled action, which included a combination of unpleasant actions, necessary actions, and conformism. Let me make it plain. The women at the treatment center first encountered betrayal as an unpleasant action, their sexual assault, that they eventually found to be a necessary action for their survival. And then they began to conform to fit in with their peers who were engaged in self-defeating behaviors, which caused their own self-betrayal. In fact, their lack of self-acceptance was a form of self-betrayal. Other attributes identified in 2018 were violating one's principles, sacrifice, and intrapersonal conflict. My friends, self-betrayal can be very subtle, but when we continue to practice it, it can be detrimental. I believe the young man who forced himself on Rachel was betraying himself. I believe my neighbor was betraying himself. And perhaps they had been betrayed by someone too. But if Rachel doesn't disclose her betrayal in a way that really helps her mentally and emotionally, she will betray herself. If I did not share this research and these research-based tools with people like you, amazing Black leaders and CEOs, I'd be betraying myself. This is a tough and painful conversation for the Black community because none of us want Black women to suffer. And neither do we want Black boys getting caught up in our judicial system. So may we stop the cycle right here and right now with 3 simple actions. Talk about this topic within your sphere of influence. Be intentional about protecting Black women and children. And identify and break your own cycle of self-betrayal. It has been my pleasure. Thank you so much, and God bless.